I'm Trevor Licorish Jr., CEO of Stable Air Media, LLC. We provide environmental drone-based imagery with quantifiable remote sensing results. We are a small team of 3 professionals with intentions to scale and take on the growing demand of commercial drone-related services. We capture in-depth imagery so that you can highlight underlying problems that cannot be seen with the human eye. From 2000 to 2010, I served in the United States Army as a power generation mechanic. As a combat veteran, I did 3 tours in Iraq and learned a lot along the way from great mentors that sparked my professional and personal development. While on active duty, I took advantage of the Army's tuition assistance program and enrolled with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. In 2012, I graduated from Embry-Riddle with a bachelor's in science in professional aeronautics. The time I invested in my education opened up employment opportunities with Lockheed Martin. My employment with Lockheed Martin and previous experience opened more doors in becoming a UAS avionics technician for the Air Force's remotely piloted MQ-9 Reaper aircraft. In late 2020, I made the leap to mind my own business. I discovered like-minded and highly professional teammates that support my vision. And together, we develop systems and use cases.
Holy crow, you can read! Input, more input.
I envision a day where I can use my experience, passion, and motivation that drives the commercial drones for good programs. When most people hear the word drone, they assume it's advanced eye in the sky or weaponized military technology. However, that perception is far from the truth. Here at Stable Air Media, we use drone-based remote sensing for environmental matters. We can go where it's impossible to go, or too dangerous to navigate, or inaccessible to get to. We seek out small problems that often lead to bigger problems if not found. We can deliver qualitative assessments for early intervention of unfavorable environmental conditions. We utilize specialized imagery just like satellites, but with a drone that provides far greater resolution.
From underwater submersibles to drones in the sky, a lot of technology has been utilized to keep track of what's going on at Piney Point.
So many will ask, what is Piney Point and what happened?
And Lloyd, this is a story that really began more than 50 years ago.
That's right, Chris. It began back in the 1960s when they came up with the plan to build the plant, and it didn't take long for the controversy to begin. From the earliest days of Port Manatee, the plan to build the Piney Point fertilizer plant here raised alarm among those who feared serious environmental damage.
And that's exactly what happened on April 3rd, 2021, when a state of emergency was issued for Manatee County, Florida. An uncontrollable leak had been discovered at Piney Point's lower portion of the east retaining wall.
At approximately 2 a.m., an infrared drone identified a signature that could indicate a second breach at the engineering team evacuated the site.
Our air crew provided infrared drones throughout the entire state of emergency event. Infrared remote sensing was able to detect thermal anomalies of potential breaches along the entire berm of the reservoir, not just the main breach location. We served as an early warning indicator to inform emergency officials of the severity levels on the breach while checking for additional anomalies with high resolution. Soon after the Piney Point disaster, our drones for good and capabilities made both local and nationwide news headlines.
Drones will evaluate conditions and scan for nutrient levels or algae blooms near Cockroach Bay, Piney Point, the port, Coquina Beach, and Leafus Key. Their work will continue over the next few months, monitoring the bay and the region many of us call home.
Certainly a good example of when a drone's work is critical.
Stable Air Media is now tasked with providing weekly multispectral imagery along 30 miles of shoreline, starting from the east of Anna Maria Island and tracking northward to the Port Authority of Manatee County. Multispectral imagery is often used in precision agriculture to detect the light reflecting values of vegetation anomalies that aren't necessarily seen with the human eyes. We are using this form of remote sensing to discover the whereabouts of harmful algae bloom. Each flight per week takes roughly 6 hours to complete a 30-mile stretch of shoreline.
You've probably heard of toxic algae outbreaks, also known as harmful algal blooms. And you may have even seen one. They look like this. Pretty gross, right? You get the general idea. The most important thing to know is that these outbreaks can be dangerous. Getting in and sometimes even near water where there's a toxic algae bloom can make people and pets sick. We're talking nausea, sore throat, rashes, vomiting, diarrhea, flu-like symptoms, and even liver damage.
The toxic water that came out of Piney Point contains many elements, but two key elements that we're concerned about is both nitrogen and phosphate. Both N and P act as steroids for algae. The next component is warm temperature, and we have a lot of that in Florida. When you add these three components, you will have the perfect cocktail for harmful algae bloom. By analyzing weekly multispectral imagery along the shorelines, we can measure nutrient uptake levels of aquatic plants. We also can measure light reflectance of surface level algae bloom in its early stages. The data is immediately processed and uploaded to the client server, all within a 15-hour window. Unlike satellites, drone-based remote sensing is not affected by cloud layer coverage. High-resolution UAV imagery enables much earlier detection, on-demand quantifiable results so that corrective action can be taken. Satellites and drone-based multispectral sensing are not opposing technologies. In fact, the two sources of remote sensing are used to capture similar results. Satellites are good for tracking algae bloom over large bodies of water, and drone-based multispectral sensors offer higher quality with sub-centimeter level per pixel resolution. Higher resolution equals more data. More data equals actionable results. This leads me to the problem. The detection of harmful algae bloom via satellites may be evaluated by the analysis of existing health records. Monitoring can be expensive, pixelated, and results are not available in enough time to develop controls. Currently, remotely sent satellite values of harmful algae bloom, or HAB, is estimated dependent upon the satellite programs being used. This method underscores the importance of continued support for field-based UAV remote sensing. Drones help deliver more oversight, act as an early intervention asset, and highlight key details that are often overlooked. Our unmanned assets and remote sensing capability delivers proven and pure results for decision makers and stakeholders. And with your assistance, we can scale to take on more demand. Our net income over the past years have shown a 10% steady increase of drone-related services since our 2018 inception. According to the North American commercial drone market demand, the market overall size was valued over $13 billion in 2020. Despite all the challenges we faced in 2020 with COVID and making the leap from my full-time job, I created an opportunity that propelled my business net growth by 15%. We will invest in expanding our effectiveness of remote sensing capabilities within our autonomous fleet. In doing so, we strongly believe that we can develop an internship with Florida Gulf Coast University Environmental Degree Program, the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agriculture Science Degree Program, Stetson University Institute for Biodiversity Law and Policy, and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University UAS degree disciplines. With your support, we predict to see a 20% increase of revenue by 2022, while keeping in line with the compound annual growth rate within the commercial drone industry. We want to pioneer an internship program that provides real-time in-field experience.
Can we do long-term so that we're not here again and again and again?
This isn't a Democrat or Republican issue. All of us understand water quality is a huge issue in and around state. So now that I think we've got everybody focused on this, I'm going to make sure that focus stays there and we get this problem addressed, because we can't continue on with over 1 billion gallons of water contaminated in this region. It impacts everybody and everything.
The EPA is in high demand for remote sensing that provides quantifiable results. Our asset serves as a safe, autonomous first-line responder to capture important life-altering data while reducing costs and field time.
I just want to make sure, even in the state, I want to make sure we got the best minds in terms of science. I don't want to waste taxpayers' money. When we fix this, I want a permanent fix.
I'm Trevor Licorish Jr., CEO and founder of Stable Air Media, LLC. We provide drone-based remote sensing and data that you can count on.